Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Julian, and for over 20 years, I have sat with thousands of patients, many of them just like you, healthy, active, over the age of 50, and watched the colour drain from their faces when I delivered the news that changes everything. You have cancer. Imagine that moment for a second. You've worked hard your whole life, raised a family, maybe even followed what you thought were the rules, eating decently, moving around a bit. And then, one routine checkup or a nagging symptom turns your world upside down. The statistics are brutal after 50. Your risk doesn't just creep up, it explodes. Cells that have spent decades exposed to everyday damage from inflammation, poor blood sugar control, environmental toxins, and yes, extra body weight, start mutating in ways we can no longer ignore. Obesity and the high insulin levels that often come with it have been tied to at least 12 different cancers: colorectal, breast, endometrial, kidney, pancreatic, and more. That spare tire around the middle isn't just cosmetic. It's a silent promoter of tumour growth. And the terrifying part is how stealthy it is. Many of my patients felt fine right up until the biopsy. They exercised sometimes, ate salads occasionally, but the daily choices added up in the wrong direction. I've seen stage 3C ovarian cancer hit a fit, vegan 35-year-old who never smoked and always chose whole foods. It doesn't play fair. But here's what keeps me coming to work every day. It is not inevitable, not even close. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the number one simple daily habit that I recommend to every patient over 50 who wants to stack the odds dramatically in their favour. It's not complicated, it's not expensive, and you can start it tomorrow morning. But to give you the full picture, the complete protocol that the most dedicated longevity seekers and my own patients are using right now, I'm going to walk you through every single detail they've shared, every food, every habit, every avoidance, exactly as it has been proven in real lives and real conversations among people who refuse to let cancer win. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to do, and you'll feel empowered instead of terrified. Let's begin with that simple daily habit I promised you, the one thing I tell every new patient over 50 to lock in before we even talk about anything else. It's incorporating broccoli sprouts or lightly steamed broccoli with a pinch of mustard powder every single day. The original question that sparked all this wisdom came from someone already doing sunscreen, broccoli sprouts, and exercise, and they were spot on to highlight those. Sulforaphane, the powerful compound in cruciferous vegetables, is like a cellular bodyguard that helps your body detoxify carcinogens and keep rogue cells in check. One patient I follow eats broccoli almost every day, steaming it lightly and adding mustard powder to activate the maximum sulforaphane. Another throws in kale and spinach regularly. One dedicated person in the longevity community sautés 10 full cups of spinach twice a week because they know leafy greens deliver a steady stream of protective compounds that add up over months and years. Microgreens and radishes join the rotation too, because variety keeps your cells happy and your palate satisfied. This isn't a once-a-week treat. It's a non-negotiable daily anchor. I've watched patients who commit to this one habit report steadier energy, better digestion, and a quiet confidence that they're doing something measurable against the cellular damage that accumulates after 50. But here's the key. This simple habit is the foundation, and it works even better when you layer on everything else the community has discovered. Look at the plates these cancer-conscious people are building day after day. Blueberries, especially wild ones that stain your fingers, show up in breakfast bowls every morning, often a full cup alongside blackberries and strawberries for a flood of polyphenols and anthocyanins that fight oxidative stress. Dark berries, pomegranate, citrus, sour cherries, barberries, even sea buckthorn berries make appearances because each one brings its own unique arsenal of antioxidants. One person I know mixes frozen blueberries into their routine without fail, and they credit the daily dose with keeping inflammation low. Tomatoes, beets, garlic, ginger, onions, turmeric, purple yam, and carrots round out the vegetable side, because diversity in plant foods is non-negotiable. Legumes and beans appear almost daily for their fibre and protein, and someone hits 25 grams of fibre as a baseline target, because that steady intake keeps your gut happy and your insulin stable. Ground flax seeds go on breakfast every single morning, mixed right in with those blueberries and blackberries, along with chia, hemp, and other seeds that deliver omega-3s and lignans. Walnuts make the cut too, a handful here and there for healthy fats. Fish and seafood show up regularly, sardines, nori, and other ocean-sourced proteins, because they provide clean protein without the drawbacks some associate with heavier meats. Many have shifted to pescatarian or Mediterranean-style eating, keeping protein around 120 grams a day from these cleaner sources, while dramatically cutting back on red meat. One person told me they're choosing grass-fed and finished beef, pasture-raised goat, lamb, bison, or venison only occasionally, because the way most conventional animals are raised changes their fat profile for the worse. But even then, they keep portions small. The consensus is clear. Less red meat overall is the path many are walking right now. Fermented foods are another daily staple that keeps coming up. Kimchi on the plate several times a week, kefir in the morning, sauerkraut, yogurt, kombucha, even homemade tepache, because a thriving gut microbiome produces short-chain fatty acids that calm inflammation and support immune surveillance against cancer cells. One survivor I'll tell you about in a moment eats fermented foods regularly and swears it's part of what's keeping recurrence at bay. Extra virgin olive oil, high quality, first press, gets drizzled liberally, 1 to 3 tablespoons a day, because its polyphenols add another layer of protection. Turmeric, black garlic, matcha, or loose-leaf green tea steeped strong, sometimes overnight for convenience. Apple cider vinegar, cacao, and chlorella all weave their way in because single-ingredient whole food choices compound. Someone steeps their green tea the night before so it's ready when they wake up, turning a simple morning ritual into a powerful daily defense. And yes, the occasional treat, dark chocolate or manuka honey, slips in, but only in moderation because the focus stays on whole foods. Many follow something close to the strict Esselstyn approach: greens 6 times a day, no added oils or sugars or processed items, all while staying plant-based or mostly so. Intermittent fasting with an 8-hour eating window, sometimes skipping dinner entirely, helps keep insulin low and autophagy high. High oleic oils like safflower or avocado join olive oil for cooking when heat is needed, but the emphasis is always on minimizing anything refined. Now, let's talk about what they're deliberately leaving off the plate, because avoidance is half the battle after 50. Refined sugar and refined carbs, white bread, pasta, rice, are slashed or eliminated because they spike insulin and feed inflammation. Processed foods, deep-fried items, seed oils, and anything hyper-processed get the boot. Alcohol is minimized and in many cases quit entirely. One person is seriously considering going cold turkey because even moderate drinking carries risks. Another shared that GLP-1 receptor agonists like semaglutide or the dual GIP/GLP-1 agonist tirzepatide have an added benefit. They appear to reduce acetaldehyde production when alcohol is consumed, which is a major hepatotoxic metabolite. A 2024 meta-analysis of 16 randomized controlled trials involving over 28,000 participants showed that in overweight or obese adults without diabetes, these medications reduced major adverse cardiovascular events by an odds ratio of 0.79, all-cause mortality by 0.80, and myocardial infarction risk by 0.72. The numbers are compelling, and while the study focused on cardiovascular protection, keeping body weight and insulin in check is directly relevant to the 12 obesity-linked cancers we worry about. That's why some patients I advise are exploring this under medical supervision as part of their cancer prevention strategy. Hot foods and drinks are avoided too. No scalding tea or soup that could damage delicate tissues. And plastics? They're being phased out aggressively. Glass Tupperware replaces plastic containers. Stainless steel pans replace non-stick whenever possible. RO or HEPA water filters, spring water, and plastic-free teapots become standard. One person lines their remaining non-stick trays with foil or parchment, rather than tossing them immediately, because perfect is the enemy of good. But the direction is clear. Less microplastics, less endocrine disruption, less unnecessary chemical exposure. Scented body products, cleaning supplies, and non-stick cookware in general are being replaced with cleaner alternatives because every little reduction in toxin load matters when you're playing the long game against cancer. The lifestyle side is just as deliberate and just as powerful. Exercise isn't optional, it's daily. Walking 10,000 steps, weights, calisthenics, yoga 3 times a week, cardio, kettlebells, gravel biking, even BMX or skateboarding for the younger at heart. Whatever keeps you moving and enjoying it. Morning sunlight, infrared exposure, and time in nature boost mood and circadian rhythm. Sauna sessions 3 to 4 times a week trigger heat shock proteins that help clear damaged cells. One patient meditates and practices breathing exercises right inside the sauna and calls it life-changing. Epsom salt baths add magnesium and relaxation. Sleep is locked in at 8 hours with excellent hygiene, consistent bedtime, dark room, no screens late. Stress management is non-negotiable. Therapy every week for some, meditation, breathwork, socializing with friends, volunteering, fostering pets, dancing, enjoying life fully because chronic stress itself is a carcinogen. One remarkable woman I know, who was diagnosed with stage 3C ovarian cancer at 35, despite a BMI of 19, 20 years vegan, regular workouts and pristine whole food habits, has turned her protocol into an art form after treatment. Now 37, she follows a pescatarian Mediterranean pattern, hits 120 grams of protein and plenty of fiber daily, does sauna 3 times a week with meditation and breathing, acupuncture and massage every few weeks, yoga 3 times a week, cardio and weights a couple times weekly, walks 10,000 steps, eats dark berries, microgreens, cruciferous vegetables, turkey tail mushrooms, matcha, chia hemp flax seeds, drinks filtered water, cuts microplastics and scented products, avoids processed foods, limits added sugar but keeps a little manuka honey and dark chocolate, eats kimchi regularly, spends time outside appreciating nature, sees a therapist weekly, cut alcohol dramatically, and makes stress management socializing and volunteering with unhoused people and fostering kittens central to her life. She says it sounds like a lot, but it feels natural now, and she's loving every minute of her time on this planet. Her story reminds every one of my patients that even when the worst happens, these habits can become the foundation for thriving afterward. Screenings are the safety net none of us can skip. Regular colonoscopies, pap smears, bowel screenings, mole mapping for skin checks, mammograms, self-exams for breast and testicular health, DEXA scans when appropriate. Early detection turns stage 3 into stage 1 and stage 1 into cured. One voice in the community put it perfectly. An early cancer detection is 100 times better than a later one, so get checked regularly no matter how healthy you feel. Even the tongue-in-cheek comments remind us how easy it is to slide into the opposite habits: smoking, whiskey, charring everything on the grill, sugar, artificial sweeteners, vaping, hard drugs, asbestos exposure jokes. But we all know those are the behaviors that accelerate risk, not prevent it. The serious voices drown them out with evidence-based action. So here we are. You started this conversation scared, and rightly so, because cancer after 50 is no joke. But now you have the complete blueprint. The simple daily habit of broccoli sprouts or mustard powder-activated broccoli as your anchor. Layered with berries, fibre-rich legumes and flax, fermented gut heroes, clean proteins from fish and plants, olive oil, turmeric and green tea, and a deliberate purge of sugar, processed junk, alcohol, red meat and plastics. You have the movement plan, the sauna schedule, the sleep priority, the stress reduction toolkit, the sunlight ritual, and the unwavering commitment to screenings. You have the real-life proof from a stage 3C survivor who turned the scariest diagnosis into a vibrant, purpose-filled life. You have the data on GLP-1 medications helping control the obesity and insulin drivers that fuel so many cancers. None of this is about perfection. It's about stacking the odds every single day. One patient told me they started with good instead of perfect, lining old pans, easing into changes. And that's exactly how I want you to begin. Pick one thing today. Tomorrow's breakfast with ground flax, blueberries, and a side of steamed broccoli with mustard. Add a 10,000-step walk. Swap one plastic container for glass. Book that colonoscopy if it's due. Small actions compound into massive protection. I've seen these habits work in real patients who refuse to accept the average risk curve. They're not waiting for a miracle drug. They're building their own defense with food, movement, and mindful living. You can do the same. The fear that gripped you at the beginning of this talk can transform into fuel. Cancer may be common after 50, but it is not your destiny. Start with that simple daily habit of cruciferous power. Surround it with every other evidence-backed choice we've covered, and watch your future brighten. I'm Dr. Julian Throne, and I'm rooting for you. Take the first step today. Your cells and your loved ones will thank you for the rest of your long, healthy life.